Okay, so for this first item in week 8, we're going to do something different for the lecture part of our week, our beginning of the week. Because giving some thought, as I have been doing to this e-commerce and having you have an experience to think more about it, I thought, you know what? It's so common for most of us to have had already some type of experience purchasing things on the web. What I want you to have now is like you're going to be somebody who's being asked to think about or to plan for how you would implement e-commerce into there. And so what I've done is I've actually created with Gemini this idea of a prompt that you would use to interview you. Okay, in order for you to synthesize, and that's really what we're doing here. It's not that I want you to to cut and paste your chat logs when you do this. It's really to synthesize this into your own understanding, but have it help you research. Because the thing is, when you're going through the prompt, right? So act as a e-commerce consultant, and and this is where you put in, because think about, and this doesn't have to be related to your project zero. It could be related to anything you might want to sell, but you could tell it, your topic might be something based on your project zero that you would consider adding some type of e-commerce component. Maybe you want to sell merch of some type. This is often you refer to as just merchandising, for your particular site, or maybe something related to your site. Okay, so then what it's going to do is ask you specific questions about how you would handle that. Now, again, you could make this up. The more based in reality it is, I think the more interesting it is, because I did this prompt myself just to see how it worked. And then once you get to a final architectural report, and you will get that towards the end. And I tried this on actually ChatGPT because I've been mostly using Gemini, but I thought I'm going to go use it. Right. Then it's going to include a specific product, a technical stack. Okay. So it's like you have to have a built-in way to handle the actual transaction itself, and some documentation links. Okay. So and again, this is where you could, do this once, see what it looks like, and possibly do it again, but come up ultimately with your architecture report. And it's not that I want that whole copy and paste litany. I want you to synthesize it into your own understanding, right? So now the first commit is just setting up, in this case, the e-commerce in the lectures in our private repos, and set up the README. Okay, so then you'll summary is you write 3 sentences defining the product, target audience, and the project fit. How does it fit in to your overall project? Or if it's not directly your project, then give me some of that content to see how what you were thinking about. So again, this is synthesis. This is not what's going to come out of here. This just helps you with some content that you can then synthesize into a report. Then you're going to summarize the technical architecture, right? The UI that you might add. How would you handle that? The logic, the fault layers based on the recommendation you got, right? So I thought, you know what? I'm actually going to put one of these together just to first show you. So this would be like 3 sentences that define the product, the audience, and the project fit, right? So this might be for the UI. I might use Bootstrap. Now, by the way, you don't have to. You could use something else, right? For the Trails page, right? For the buy button. And then when the user clicks, they're directed. So this is where you're actually thinking through how the user would work through, and then Stripe would act as the vault. Now, this is where you get pieces of that recommendation that you then put in here. And then, because it's also going to ask you about your technical level. Okay. So again, the idea is not to just go and copy and paste, but actually to think about this, because this is where, when you get that architecture, okay, when you're actually going to get that final architecture report, it's going to give you some links to go look at and refer to, and think about how and why you would use those particular products to handle the transaction part. Because remember, most likely, I mean, think about this, you're a web developer, you're not necessarily building out entire e-commerce systems, you're using somebody else's system to do that. Okay, so then that's the developer takeaway. So you have 4 commits here you want to do. and then your commit history is what you'll provide for your URL. So this is a different type of lecture than I've ever done, but I thought, you know what, let's make this more practical in the sense that you want a way that you might be able in the future think about how you would handle it if somebody asks you, hey, how would I start selling things on my website? I have an idea, because this is not uncommon. And these days, there's just a lot of different ways to do it, but some more accepted and recommended than others. Okay, so I'm interested actually in how this actually, if you feel like this was helpful as well, right? So I look forward to your summaries of your chat sessions, not your chat sessions themselves. This is your prompt that you will, and by the way, you could actually modify this as well. As a matter of fact, if you decide to upgrade the prompt because you feel like it needed something else, please do that. Right? That would be a good thing to actually play with as well. And then provide me that. I'd be interested in what you ended up doing. Okay, I hope you have fun with this, and I'll talk to you on the next one.